Chapter 3. The Roman Gods. Mrs. Teachwell's Report. Let's learn about the gods and goddesses of Rome. The ancient Romans did not believe in one god who ruled the entire world. They believed in many gods. In many ways, the Roman gods acted like human beings. They ate and drank. They played tricks on each other. They fell in love and got into fights. But there was one main way in which the gods were not like human beings. The gods were immortal. Human beings might live for many years. Some might even live to be 100. Eventually, though, they would die. The gods, on the other hand, lived forever. They did not and could not die. The Romans' ideas about their gods were similar to the ancient Greeks. In fact, they worshipped many of the same gods as the Greeks, but they called those gods by different names. The chart shows the Roman names for some Greek gods you may already know. The top god, sometimes called the father of the immortals, was a strong, bearded figure. The Greeks called him Zeus. The Romans called him Jupiter. Jupiter was a mighty god. He carried a thunderbolt that he could throw at anyone who angered him. If Jupiter threw his thunderbolt at you, that was the end of you. Jupiter lived on Mount Olympus with the other gods. Juno was Jupiter's wife. She was the goddess of marriage and the protector of wives. The Roman gods were all related. They were like a big family. Jupiter's brother, Neptune, was the god of the seas and oceans. There are many statues of Neptune. In most of them, he is holding a special three-pronged spear called a trident. Neptune's trident had magical powers. The god could use it to stir up storms and waves. He could also wave it over the stormy seas and make the rough seas smooth. Roman sailors prayed to Neptune. "Great Neptune," they prayed, "send us good weather and smooth sailing." Mars was the god of war. Soldiers would pray to him before a big battle. The Romans fought a lot of wars, so they spent a lot of time praying to Mars. Mercury was one of Jupiter and Juno's sons. He was the messenger of the gods. He was as fast as a flash. In paintings, he is often shown with wings on his hat and his shoes to show how fast he was. Venus was the goddess of love. She was very beautiful. If Venus wanted someone to fall in love, she could send her son Cupid on a mission. Cupid would shoot the person with one of his magic arrows. The person would then fall in love with the first person he or she saw. Cupid is still with us today. You will see little Cupids all over the place on Valentine's Day when we celebrate love. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Neptune are the names of planets in our solar system. These planets are named after the Roman gods. For example, the planet Mars is named after Mars, the Roman god of war. Vulcan was the blacksmith of the gods. He melted iron and other metals. Then he shaped the metal to make a sword, a helmet, or a shield. Vulcan was the god of fire and volcanoes. Apollo was the god of the sun. He was also the god of music and poetry. Apollo is another god who was worshipped by both the Greeks and the Romans. He had a famous shrine at Delphi in Greece. When the Greeks and Romans wanted advice, they would send messengers to Delphi. The priestess of Apollo would give them an answer. It was almost never a clear answer, though. Often it was more like a riddle that they had to figure out on their own. Minerva was the goddess of wisdom. She was also the goddess of crafts and weaving. According to legend, Minerva was not born in the usual way. One day, Jupiter complained of a headache. Then, presto, Minerva sprang, fully grown, from his head. Minerva's special animal was the owl. Sometimes she was painted with an owl perched on her shoulder. Diana was the goddess of the moon. She was also the goddess of the hunt. In statues, she is often shown as a young girl with a bow and arrow. Sometimes the sculptor will also show one of her dogs or a deer. Bacchus was the Roman god of grapes and wine. He was followed by women and satyrs who were half man and half goat. A famous story tells how pirates tried to kidnap Bacchus. That was a big mistake. The god transformed himself into a lion. He turned the boat into a lush garden. As for the pirates, he changed them into dolphins and sent them splashing away in the ocean.